So glad you tuned in to Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show. It's our special feature. Once a month, we celebrate what's different, conversations with the Barber National Institute. And today we're talking about empowering decisions, understanding agency with choice. Now, with Developmental Disabilities Month just around the corner, today we're diving into a topic that's all about empowerment. And that means agency with choice. Now, agency with choice is more than just a service model. It's a way for individuals and families to have greater control and flexibility over their care. But what does that look like actually in real life, in practice, and why is it important? We're going to tackle these questions here in our episode of Celebrate What's Different. We want to welcome to the microphones Jackie Zacharol. She is the Director of Family Focused Services. Jackie, welcome to the show. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Good to be here.
You got it here. Also want to say hello to Karen Groshek, who is part of the families that are supported by BNI. Good to see you, Karen.
Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. All right, let's start here about agency with choice. Let's define terms. Talk about that, Jackie.
So what agency with choice is it's a self-directed service model through the Office of Developmental Programs. And what it is it allows individuals to live on their own and remain with family members by providing them services under a non-traditional model. So what that means is they are able to have more flexibility and control with agency with choice. So with a traditional program, they tell you what your schedule is, who's working with you, and that's what you have to stick to. With agency with choice, families they're empowered to pick their own staff. So if there's a friend, a neighbor, a family member who they really mesh well with, we're able to hire them to work with the individual. And it's the schedule's flexible. So they could do it weekly, monthly, daily. It's all up to the family, the individual, and the staff. And depending on what services they choose, they are able to set the pay range. So the state determines the pay range. So, they're pretty good pay rates. And, the family chooses all that. So
is there training that comes with this? I mean, Yes. Okay, talk about that.
Well, so the purpose of agency with choice is so families always know who's coming into their home. So we're not just sending a random person to the house. So we do the basic training down at the Barber National Institute, which, is just like HIP and all that stuff. So it's about a 4-hour training. And then the purpose is the family then trains the staff, because who knows them better than the family? And yes, they have their individualized support plan that the staff will read through. But again, you can read through it, but ultimately the family is who is going to train you on working with the individual, because they know all the ins and outs versus just sending a random person in there.
It sounds like there's a lot of empowerment that is the family, is the individual, the client, if you will.
Yes.
And it really homes in on being personalized for it's not like a broad brush or one size fits all. It's a person we know and a person that is connected.
Right. And we have about 602 families in our program currently. And what I always tell people is it's 602 different situations, different scenarios, different everything. So it really is, about the family. It empowers individuals, especially ones who live on their own, to direct their own services. We have about over 200 individuals who are self-directing without the help of a family member. So they schedule their staff, they do everything. Sometimes with the assistance of what's called a supports broker through our program, who kind of helps navigate the services. But a lot of times they handle it on their own. And staff will help them, determine the schedules, but they do everything on their own.
It seems like it would be a lot to keep your arms around, as opposed to, a BNI staffer kind of thing, right?
It is. So what's different about our agency with choice in Erie at the Barber National Institute is we have what's called liaisons. And we have about 17 right now, and they all oversee a caseload of anywhere between 40 to 45 individuals. And they help individuals, they help the families manage their services. Because the lingo can be confusing. You know, when the state comes out with something and we have to send it to them, they already have a lot going on. So they don't really understand what's coming out. So we provide this liaison to help them oversee their services, help them with their staffing. Because another feature that we have is if a family comes into the program, say they may not have staff in mind, or the staff that they did have for so long needed to resign for some reason. We assist them in finding staff. Now, the caveat to that is we can't just say, okay, you're going to go work with that person. The individual and the family have to meet that staff, potential staff essentially, and decide if they want to move forward. It's never us saying, okay, you have to go here. They have control over all that. It could take 3 or 4 people for somebody to be like, okay, that's going to be a good fit for me.
Sure. How does this approach promote dignity, respect for individuals with disabilities?
It promotes a lot of dignity for them because a lot of times they feel like they're always being told what they have to do. And with this model, they get to choose. They can say, no, I don't want to do that, or this is who I want, or this is where I want to go. Whereas when you're in more of a traditional program, you kind of only have a limited pool of places you can go because there are different, regulations on how many people and things like that. But with this one, they are able to have their hands in every decision that's being made.
There's, the word empowerment really comes to bear, doesn't it? Let's talk about why this matters. Individuals making decisions about their own care that reflects their goals, preferences, and values. And Karen, we want to bring you in on this. Talk about what you see as some of the benefits of this agency with choice model from the Barber National Institute.
Well, first of all, I forget how many years now we've been into this, but it has absolutely been a life changer for my family and my son, and also my sister's family, who also has a daughter with autism. And it has just been wonderful because, as Jackie said, it's empowerment for families as well, because my son isn't able to make his own decisions or, things like that, but I know him so well. I know what makes him happy, what he likes. And I'm very particular when you have, especially an individual that's nonverbal, that can't communicate. It's very frightening as a parent to have to trust people to have your person out there. Well, I've started with people I've known. Some staff I've had over 10 years, so they know Eric inside and out. And people that I haven't known so well, Jackie and these wonderful liaisons that work at the Barber Institute, they kind of know our needs. They know Eric, and then they say, oh, there's a possible match maybe. So then I always have the person over, and we hang out and we chat, and I'm very direct about what kind of care my son needs. He needs a lot of care. So I always say, if it's not for you, that's absolutely fine. But if you're comfortable with this is great. And then we do a little trial. And right away, even though Eric is nonverbal, he speaks with his eyes. His eyes light up. He smiles. He's happy. And I know his staff that he has, he's excited. Even though he can't tell me, when I say Ellen is coming or Beth is coming or Sadie is coming, he just squeezes his arms and squeals because he knows as much as he loves mom, he's almost 28. So this empowers him to go out into the community and do some things without mom, or dad taking him. So
because this person is so intertwined with his care, it seems more seamless, huh?
Yes, and they know what he likes. He loves to go to parks. He loves to go to playgrounds. He loves music. He does all these things, and then they just go off of what he wants to do, and he can, or he can communicate basically through signs what he wants to do, and he goes out for his hours and he has a full life because of this program, which also gives his dad and I a full life, because we don't have every hour of the day to do caregiving full time. So when we have things to do, we know Eric's out there in the community, and I can't tell you how many members say, oh, we ran into Eric at this festival, or we saw him at Walmart and he's so happy. And it's all because of this program. And they really, truly look at their goals, look at what they love to do, And it is a wonderful personalized program. The pay rate is really, really good. And like I said, I look at them as family. They're welcomed into my home because for years and years, you've always had occupational therapy, speech therapy,
Right.
behavioral therapists coming into your home. And we basically lived in kind of a fishbowl for years. And this is like, I'm comfortable. I know these people. They know us. They're part of the family. Maybe they're having dinner with us and they're assisting Eric, or Eric's going out and about. But it's amazing. And it's a different model because a lot of places send you staff that you don't know, that maybe won't click. But this one gives us the empowerment, the opportunity, and also the ability to set that rate. If you really have a staff that's amazing, like I do, they deserve the top pay,
And
I was going to say, talk about, some advice for others that might choose this.
I would say for families, especially families like us who don't want to do a group home yet. I mean, it's just one of those, like, I'm surprised I can even say the words, because for many years I would get emotional about it because I don't want to do that. We want Eric in with his family, his grandparents, his cousins. Like, we want him part of the household. However, he's a lot, so we need support. So for families that are struggling and don't maybe want to do that yet, there is this wonderful model that allows them to have a somewhat normal life with their family. And they can attend family events with us, even vacations. That has made it a lot better. But I mean, there is an answer to it. You don't have to just do a group home. You don't have to feel like, oh, I don't want this stranger in my home. This program is so flexible. And it's wonderful for the individuals. And, even the higher individuals that can do some of the decision making, how wonderful for them to feel like they have power in their lives.
And it benefits Eric's situation a lot too, because then we have many individuals like Eric where, you can't just have a random person coming in. Eric has many health and safety needs. He's have elopement risks. And, when we were looking at other services one time, I said to Karen, I said, they're just going to send somebody in, they're not going to really know Eric. And she was like, oh, no. And it's who's coming in. And, based like on Eric's situation, it could be a health and safety concern if they don't have any clue about him.
I think that's a good place for us to segue into challenges. Again, we're talking on our Celebrate What's Different segment, conversations with the Barber National Institute. We're talking about understanding agency with choice. One common concern that people have is managing like this responsibility of hiring, managing a support staff. That's a lot on a family, right?
It is, and that's what our liaisons are for. So our liaisons do all of the back-end paperwork that a family typically would have to do on their own if they were under a different model through the state. So we take on the employment responsibilities. So essentially the family only has to pick the staff, train them, and then do the scheduling. Everything else we take care of. We handle all their statements, all the staff's payroll. The staff or the families really just say, hey, this is what I want to pay them. This is the jobs we're going to do. And then we handle it from there.
So really kind of a back office, front office kind of thing, right, Karen?
It's great because, and if you do run into a problem, which I rarely have, you can go to your liaison, you can go to Jackie and say, how can I navigate this? For the most part, if you have good staff and a good relationship, you should be able to say, hey, I think we should do this approach with him, or maybe this would work better. And, over the years, as I've done it, you get more and more comfortable doing that. And I think for families, the most important thing to do is absolutely let them know the goals for your individual, your expectations, and it's a win-win situation. It's amazing. And it's 7 days a week and can be whatever hours to take them to church, Saturdays.
Wow.
I have a lady coming this evening, so it's really nice. And he gets to do so much. He really does.
That's
He's out and about.
It occurs to me, too, that when we're talking about, just some of the struggles that agencies like yours have in hiring staff, if by being able to engage people that are already part of the sphere of influence, if you will, that really does bring it really helps out the whole situation of finding the right folks, right? I mean,
it does, and it helps when families refer people, because then again, it's people who but we're constantly getting staff applying through the community because they've heard about us from a family. You know, Karen is definitely pushing people, even if she doesn't have any slots available for staff. She's always saying, you know, we've got over 600 individuals. There's somebody, you know, it might take a little bit longer just because you got to find that match. But, you know, it all just depends. You know, we have all of Erie County. So the rural areas are a little harder to staff just because there's not a large population out there. But, you know, around Erie, Mill Creek, all that, we tend to get a good pull of staff for families.
That's exciting.
I think too that like even in rural areas though or whatever, I'm always promoting it because it is a great job for somebody, like even like a college student who wants to just spend some time, and what a rewarding job. It's great pay and you get to go out and do cool things, and it builds character on their end too because you're learning about the differences. But I think the biggest problem with it is not enough people know about it. So I'm always recruiting. I'm always like, hey, would you be interested? And even if it's not for Eric, because Eric has, you know, a little bit more needs than some, I'll say, well, you know, like my niece is a little higher functioning, you know, maybe you'd be a great fit for her. And actually 2 or 3 of her staff are people that I knew that I said to my sister, you should talk to them, take a look. But I'm always saying in somebody's church, if you know somebody or somebody's, you know, workplace that's looking for some extra money, it doesn't have to be a full-time job. They can work 10 hours a week, 2 hours a week, whatever they want, 25 hours a week. So it's really an amazing program.
I think this is a good chance to kind of talk about how does somebody get started, Jackie, you know, both on maybe doing this job, and also maybe there's clients that might want to transition into this.
Absolutely. So in order to enroll in the program, you have to have a supports coordinator, and it can be through any of the supports coordination units organizations in Erie.
Just define that real quick. What does that mean?
It's a supports coordinator. So the biggest one in Erie is Erie County Care Management.
Okay.
And then there's some little ones that are popping up around town, but it has to be a supports coordinator that serves Erie County, and they would do a referral to our agency for services. Now, the individual would have to be enrolled in a waiver through Pennsylvania, so there's 3 different waivers that they can be in, and then once they're enrolled in a waiver, then, you know, within a couple of weeks, we can get them enrolled into the program.
Do they have any requirements going into it other than maybe, you know, getting through clearances and things like that?
So staff would have to do their clearances.
Yeah.
You know, they can apply on our website through the agency with choice job description that's under careers. And basically the minimum requirement is a high school diploma or a GED. Okay. And then, you know, if they don't have anybody in mind, we try to pair them based on their experience or what their level of comfort is, because there are some individuals that need personal care, and there's some that don't require any personal care. So it's all what they can do and where they can go. So some, you know, are out in Corey, some are in Union City, and some are City of Erie. It just all depends on where they want to go, where we can try to pair them up with a family.
I would imagine this is growing like crazy.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. You know,
because it's just a different model, right? I mean,
it is. And with people, with, you know, individuals graduating every year, it's constantly growing because then they need services beyond high school. Because sometimes a traditional day program just isn't the right fit for them.
Right, right. So again, we're in this situation as a community where our, you know, who were autistic children are now autistic adults, and the Barber National Institute is rising to the challenge with this amazing program, Agency with Choice. I love everything that says, because you're giving people agency, you're giving people choice. That just, like you said, full empowerment, isn't it? Amazing. I appreciate Jackie Zackerl, the Family Focused Services Director, and all around amazing mom, Karen Groshek. Again, you're like the biggest cheerleader, right?
I have been. It's just, and I'm just grateful to the Barber National Institute. That's why I put up with Erie Snow. We can't leave this place,
right?
Because there's no place like Erie when it comes to developmental disabilities. You're not going to find a better place to live. People move here for this, you know.
We're so blessed to have the Barber National Institute.
And we're recruiting if you're looking for a job. And I find the retired community is a great place. Okay. My friend's husband is doing it. And his quote from this week was, with his 2 individuals that he works with, he said, I can leave my house in a grumpy mood, and I come back and we play bunco, and I'm laughing, and I've had the best day ever. So there you go.
We'll leave it there. Celebrating what's different, conversations with the Barber National Institute. Thank you, ladies, so much for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
354.
Good. That was John Betcher's quote.